Hello, ladies and gentlemen's Odor. We're going to talk about something that's often swept under the rug, literally and figuratively. It's an uncomfortable topic, but it's one we must address with courage, compassion, and hope. Why most older adults' homes smell like urine, and how we can remove that odor for good. Now, let's get something straight. This isn't about judgment. It's not about shame. It's about dignity, health, and quality of life. When a home, especially one that belongs to a beloved older adult, starts to carry that telltale scent, it's not just a cleaning issue. It's a call to action. Far too often, issues that relate to aging are treated with avoidance, and the presence of odor in the homes of older adults is one of those subjects that people would rather ignore. But ignoring the problem doesn't make it disappear, it only allows it to become normalized, and in doing so, it silently chips away at the dignity of those we love. This is why it is so important to acknowledge this issue openly and without shame. We must shift our perspective from criticism to care, from discomfort to compassion, and from silence to solution. The smell of urine in an older adult's home is not a reflection of laziness or neglect. It's a symptom of the natural process of aging, which brings with it real physical and medical challenges. When we choose not to talk about this problem, we risk isolating older adults further and reinforcing the idea that their needs are embarrassing or burdensome. That could not be further from the truth. Every person deserves to live in an environment that makes them feel respected, clean, and cared for. Acknowledging the problem does not mean assigning blame. It means stepping into a role of leadership and responsibility, not just as a caregiver, but as a loved one. It means understanding that our elders are often too proud or too ashamed to bring it up themselves. It's not easy to admit that your body doesn't cooperate the way it used to. It's not easy to ask for help with something so personal. So when we open our eyes, when we tune into what the nose is trying to tell us, we are doing far more than identifying a smell. We are identifying a need. Every time we notice and respond to that need, we are sending a message. You matter. Your comfort matters. Your dignity matters. And that is the most powerful message we can offer someone in the later stages of life. It takes courage to acknowledge this kind of problem, but courage is exactly what our aging loved ones need from us. They need us to speak when they cannot. They need us to act when they hesitate. And they need us to be advocates for the quality of life they so richly deserve. To address this challenge properly, we must begin by understanding the true causes behind it. As people age, they face a variety of health issues that directly contribute to incontinence or reduced bladder control. This can be due to conditions like diabetes, arthritis, neurological disorders, or even the side effects of medications. Reduced mobility means it may be difficult for someone to reach the bathroom in time, especially if they use a walker or wheelchair. Cognitive decline, such as from dementia or Alzheimer's disease, also contributes significantly, as individuals may forget to go to the bathroom or may not recognize when they need to. In many cases, older adults may not be fully aware of the extent of the odor. As the sense of smell weakens with age, what might be obvious to a visitor could be completely unnoticed by the person living in it. This isn't willful neglect, it's biology at work. So the solution must begin with understanding and education. We must educate ourselves, our families, and caregivers that these physical and sensory changes are normal, and that the right response is not frustration or judgment, but proactive, respectful support. Motivation comes from purpose, and our purpose in dealing with this issue is not to sanitize a room. It is to lift up the human being who lives in it, it is to see the person behind the problem. When we understand the reasons behind the odor, we stop viewing it as a nuisance and start seeing it as a signpost, a message telling us that someone needs attention, care, and support. That message should motivate us deeply, because aging is not a weakness to be hidden. It is a stage of life to be honored. By understanding the cause, we empower ourselves to take meaningful, compassionate action that transforms not just the home, but the heart of the person living in it. When we talk about cleanliness in the homes of older adults, we must go deeper than surface-level sanitation. The presence of odor, particularly the smell of urine, is not just a housekeeping issue. It is fundamentally a matter of health, safety, and dignity. Every human being deserves to live in an environment that supports their physical well-being and emotional peace. When a space begins to reflect the signs of neglect, whether due to incontinence, illness, or mobility challenges, it is not the individual's failure. It is a moment for us to step up and reinforce the value of that person's life. Older adults, especially those dealing with chronic conditions or cognitive decline, are often unable to keep up with the maintenance of their living space in the way they once could. They remember the days when everything was in order, when they were strong and independent, and the current state of their home may feel like a painful reminder of what they've lost. The odor that lingers in the air becomes more than just a smell. It becomes a symbol of vulnerability. It is up to us to change that narrative. Removing odor is not about making a house pleasant for visitors. It is about restoring the person who lives there to a place of pride and comfort. A clean environment tells someone without words that they are cared for. It reminds them that they are still worthy of attention, still important, still seen. When we remove the odor, we are not just cleaning, we are healing. We are treating the space as sacred because the person who occupies it is sacred. Health is directly impacted by environment. Persistent urine odor can signal the presence of harmful bacteria, increased risk of respiratory problems, and declining mental health due to feelings of embarrassment or depression. When people live surrounded by strong, unpleasant smells, it can lead to isolation. They may stop inviting friends over, avoid family visits, and shrink their social world to nothing more than the four walls of their room. This isolation can spiral into emotional distress and cognitive decline. So, addressing odor isn't superficial. It is a profound act of care that can change the trajectory of someone's well-being. To make this change lasting, we must be equipped with the right tools and solutions. Tackling odor at the source requires more than just air fresheners or surface sprays. Those only mask the problem and allow it to grow over time. The right approach begins with understanding the materials and surfaces involved. Urine penetrates fabrics, soaks into mattresses, carpets, and upholstery, and clings to porous materials. That's why it's essential to use enzymatic cleaners that are specifically designed to break down the proteins in urine and neutralize odors at a molecular level. These products are not just effective, they are empowering. They give caregivers and loved ones the confidence to handle what once seemed overwhelming. Pair this with washable, absorbent bed pads, waterproof covers for mattresses and furniture, and regular laundering of linens, and suddenly, what felt like a chronic, hopeless issue becomes something manageable. It shifts the energy in the home from defeat to possibility. Consistency is also key. Creating a hygiene routine that works for the older adult and supports their autonomy is essential. This might mean scheduled bathroom reminders, accessible toilet aids, or assistance with personal care. These solutions aren't just practical, they are acts of love. They say, I want you to feel clean, I want you to feel safe, I want you to feel respected. Taking this approach helps reframe caregiving not as a burden, but as a profound opportunity. Every time we clean, every time we prepare their space, every time we take action to prevent odor, we are declaring that their presence in this world still matters. And that is the kind of motivation that transcends inconvenience and transforms lives. One of the most overlooked solutions to dealing with persistent odor in older adults' homes is also one of the most powerful communication. Talking openly with loved ones about incontinence, hygiene, and living conditions can feel awkward at first, but silence causes far more harm than any temporary discomfort ever could. In many families, these topics go unspoken for years. People avoid the conversation out of fear of offending their aging parents or loved ones. The result is that the problem festers, emotionally and physically, until it becomes overwhelming. The truth is, older adults often already know that there's a problem. They live with it every day. They may smell it, they may feel ashamed of it, or they may have stopped noticing it altogether because they've lived with it for so long. In any of these cases, silence only makes them feel more alone. That's why real change begins with honest, loving conversation. When we approach this topic with empathy, when we speak with respect instead of judgment, we give permission for honesty to flourish. Conversations don't need to be perfect. They need to be genuine. It can start with something as simple as saying, I want to make sure you feel comfortable and supported in your home. Have you noticed any issues with odor or anything else that needs to be addressed? This kind of gentle opening gives space for dialogue rather than confrontation. And once the door is open, we can begin to work together on real solutions. Whether that's arranging for better incontinence care, regular cleaning support, or a doctor's visit to evaluate health changes, medical professionals are often left out of the equation when dealing with odor problems, yet they are crucial allies. Incontinence is not just a normal part of aging. It can be a symptom of a treatable condition. By encouraging regular checkups and by sharing concerns with physicians, we might discover medications that need adjusting, infections that need treating, or therapies that can improve bladder control. When families communicate not only with each other, but with healthcare providers, they turn concern into action and prevention. We should also be willing to include caregivers, aides, and nursing staff in these conversations when applicable. Many of them are trained to help manage personal hygiene, but they are often stretched thin or unaware of specific issues. By speaking up, we bring clarity and we remind every person involved that this is a team effort, with the older adult at the center, never forgotten, never treated as a burden. What motivates us to keep going even when the work is hard, the odor is strong, or the conversation feels uncomfortable? Love, pure and simple, love is what turns a cleaning task into an act of honor. Love is what makes us willing to get down on our knees and scrub a floor or change a bed. It's what helps us look past the mess and see the person we're doing it for. When we act from a place of love, we stop seeing odor as a stain on the home. We see it as a call to care more deeply. Removing odor is not just a task, it's a mission. It's about restoring dignity and preserving the humanity of our elders. Every step we take, whether it's setting up a bathroom schedule, buying new supplies, or calling a doctor, becomes a statement of values. It says that aging is not a decline into invisibility. It says that our parents, our grandparents, and all older adults still deserve beauty, comfort, and pride in their space. Imagine the difference this mindset can make. Imagine walking into a clean, fresh, smelling home and seeing the smile on your loved one's face, not because everything is perfect, but because they feel seen, valued, and safe. That's the power of love in action. That's the impact of choosing to care fully, to speak honestly, and to serve with dignity. It's not about removing a smell. It's about reclaiming the sacred space where life, in all its stages, continues to matter.